Hi, I'm State Representative Christopher Rosario of the 128th District in Bridgeport, and we're here for a community conversation with Senators Chris Murphy and Senator Blumenthal about what the next steps are for the Puerto Rican community and what's going to happen after the aftermath of Hurricane Maria.
We are so proud in this state to have the biggest Puerto Rican community in the country. We have a larger percentage of our population who have come here from the island, have connections to the island than any other state in the country, and it's the life and the breath of this state, and it's right that we be on the forefront of the response. It's right that we open our doors to those who are going to need either temporary or permanent shelter here inside Connecticut, and we hope that it's right and appropriate that your delegation in Washington is leading the fight to try to correct a disaster response that was and still is totally and completely insufficient. This isn't getting back to normal anytime soon. The numbers move, but you are still talking about 90% of the island without power. You are still talking about half of the island without potable water. They will tell you that the hospitals are by and large back up and running, but you know the real story. Though the lights may be on at those hospitals, the services are not close to what they need to be in order to keep people alive. Even if you give the rosiest estimates of the number of DoD personnel on the island, it doesn't come close to the number of personnel that we deployed in Haiti, the number of personnel we sent to Japan after the earthquake there, or the number of personnel that were in Louisiana after Katrina. Simply from a personnel count, we are not measuring up to what we could and can do, and somebody needs to start asking, and I'll be the first one, what's the point of spending $600 billion a year on the biggest, most powerful military in the world if we can't muster a response of more than 10,000 personnel to respond to a disaster on U.S. soil?
How many of you have relatives or close friends on the island? Well, that is what Connecticut looks like. The people of Puerto Rico have lost a lot. Some have lost everything. But they have not lost hope. You know that. What I saw in Puerto Rico is America is on the verge of failing fellow Americans. The 3.4 million people of Puerto Rico, about the same size as Connecticut, are Americans. They are American citizens. What I saw in Puerto Rico, I have never seen before anywhere. Whole towns flattened, and maybe most ominously, the governor said, Puerto Rico is going to exhaust its cash reserve within a matter of months. That means it has no liquidity. It runs out of money. Puerto Rico was $74 billion in debt before this natural disaster. That debt was a man-made disaster. Puerto Rico was denied the health care funding under a very restricted formula. It was denied fair tax treatment through no fault of their own. So what's needed now is leadership. And what's been lacking is leadership from the White House. What's needed in the long term is a Marshall Plan. It needs to be a public-private partnership, as it was in here, but a Marshall Plan that devotes the resources that are needed there. Anything less is failing Puerto Rico.
My father, he brought us here, Bridgeport, 1978, and he built a house. And every time we've gone down to Puerto Rico, my father passed away when I was 10, and every time we go to Puerto Rico, Tay Bonito, we're like, that's the house Papi built. That was like the only reminder of what my father built. It's my only real memory. And I saw pictures of the house after the storm, and it was destroyed. It was destroyed. But homes can be rebuilt. Lives cannot be brought back. And the thing that gives me hope is looking at each and every one of you. Because after the hurricane, whether it was Bridgeport, Hartford, New Haven, our community rose up. We showed the strong Puerto Rican spirit of who we are as a people. And if this president doesn't want to help rebuild Puerto Rico, we'll do it ourselves.
Amen.
We'll do it ourselves.
It's not easy for us to live every day not knowing that my cousin, I don't know about him or I don't know about the other one, but also to think that the places that I visited, the places that were there, are no longer there. But we have hope. Puerto Rico se levanta.
Many of those folks back home, those are our friends, our family, and we're looking for their well-being. And I want to thank Senator Chris Murphy and also Senator Richard Blumenthal, as well as Congressman Jim Himes, for their support, working with the local officials, working with our local mayor and our town council to make sure that the relief efforts that are happening here are not gone in vain, and those supplies and that information goes directly to the people on the island. So thank you for tuning in, and there'll be more of these to come.